build muscle and lose fat on the carnivore diet. Hello guys, welcome back to the channel to Carnivore Muscle Ramblings, segment number 58. Myself, Jonathan, Carnivore Muscle, Coach Nicole at Former Fat Girl, and of course Jerome Armstrong, who I've asked today to keep his head on swivel at all times. How are you guys doing, starting with Nicole?
Good. I struck gold, man. So I'm living large today.
Yeah, what happened?
I was trying to find an Inspector Gadget, and apparently what is this? DuckTales? This came up. No, this isn't DuckTales. What is this? Is this DuckTales?
I suppose it isn't. What's the other one? And I'm trying not to swear. It'll come to me about halfway through the stream.
Yeah. Let us know in the chat, what cartoon is this from? I don't think it's DuckTales, but DuckTales keeps coming to mind.
I don't know. I'm not allowed to watch cartoons. Bad for my eyes. Yeah, so what about you, Jerome? What's going on?
Oh, not much. Just I've enrolled in a marketing course recently, so I'm basically doing everything I can to try and grow my business locally. So it's pretty much been occupying all of my time.
Well, so how to successfully be a con artist and get away with it?
Yeah, God knows the internet is replete with individuals like that. What's one more?
How do you how do you market Pace Counter?
You'd be surprised. What's that old line from Office Space where the guy's talking about the pet rock? He's like, it made $1 million.
Jumping to conclusion, Matt.
Apparently, it's Scrooge McDuck, whoever that is.
Oh, Baroness of Beef.
I wouldn't know.
DuckTales. Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't know much about this stuff. I'm different age category to you guys. You guys are ancient.
It was before your time, but
yeah,
all the good cartoons were.
To be fair, I did watch like Tom and Jerry and stuff, which was probably out in like, I don't even know, like 80s or early 90s.
Oh, wait. Tom and Jerry? That was like old school, like my parents.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was watching repeats of that when I was younger, when we had like 4 channels. All right. Carnival Muscle said this will be good. They're also a channel member. Excellent. Great to see. I think this was actually posted on Nicole's stream, to be fair. But yeah, we know who that is. That's Rick. Is anyone else having a duck for Thanksgiving? Please let us know in the comments if you are. We don't celebrate that over here, so we're probably not having anything in particular outside of our normal food meal planning. What about you guys? Do you have Thanksgiving? What do you guys do?
Turkey.
I'm not sure what I'm doing yet. I'll probably just get some New York strips. Don't even know if I'm going to have my daughter where I'm going to go, so I'll figure it out.
Fair. Well, if it all goes to pot, you're welcome around mine to join me and have a mukbang or something.
Mukbang.
Join you for a celebration that you guys don't celebrate.
Yeah, that's the best way to go about it, I think.
I'll tell you what, let's save that for Independence Day.
How about no?
How about no, Scotty?
Yeah, speaking of having boar meat, but speaking of has really unique cuts of meat where he's at. He's between countries a lot of the time, so he gets a unique kind of opportunity to try different things. He's quite lucky in that sense. I'm regretting wearing these glasses already. Actually, I can't really see much. But Andy, Jerome's here, also a channel member. Here. Nice to see. Excellent. Speaking of as well, if you guys do have any questions, please put them in the chat. We'll be happy to answer them. We're opening them up today to any questions you want to ask us. Try and keep them PG if possible. We are here for entertainment purposes and educational purposes today, which is unique to this channel because usually we're only here for educational purposes. So, Mama Cracker, that's probably your sub, isn't it, Nicole?
Yeah.
Should we bring our own weights?
Yes.
Yes. Absolutely. Hi, Carnival crew. I'm now a Carnival Muscle Premium Gym Rep member. That's a mouthful, isn't it? Cheers, Matthew. Appreciate that. That's good to hear. Yeah, appreciate that. So I made a post a few days ago on YouTube just asking people, look, I make a lot of content. My click-through rate's good. People watch my videos for a long period of time. My view count is pretty good for the most part, but my channel's not growing the way it probably should, considering the quality of content and the frequency of content about. So I said, pay it forward a little bit. Perhaps you can't afford to pay $1 or so a month. Hit like on the video, leave a comment, say cheers to the video. If you completely disagreed with my video and thought it was absolute nonsense, tell me. Just be respectful about it. I'd be happy to engage in an online live video debate about it. A lot of things I probably am wrong on, but I try not to be if at all possible. So usually I add people like Jerome and Nicole into the stream to deflect from how wrong I am about a lot of things. Yeah, Nicole's a lot better host than I am. I'm pretty crap at this. I'm not very good at multitasking in this sense. Except
Carrie.
That's Carrie. Yeah, she's the lady I got the poster on.
Yeah, the channel.
I put my metamorphosis and it's my metamorphosis. So I actually auto corrected it when I typed it in twice, but it still came up with the wrong thing. Difficult, isn't it? Good morning. Nice to see you, Alicia. We'll collaborate when you've got something interesting to say. Just let me know through message and I'll be happy to.
When you have something interesting to say, it's very subjective. I'll collaborate with you even if you don't have anything interesting to say.
I would recommend both of you ladies do a live stream to us. You come from quite a similar background, I think, when it comes to eating. So yeah, it'd definitely be worth your while to just have a chat about stuff. Perhaps you flick some questions back and forth. I'd highly recommend that if you guys have the chance.
I'm down.
She's based in Australia, so she's a bit of a pain in the backside and just deliberately difficult to get hold of.
Damn.
Yeah.
Painting a perfect picture for collaboration.
Yep. That's Mike as well. So Mike's also joined as a channel member. Much appreciated. Excellent. I think we're just talking about ducks and stuff now. Do we all have to put on sunglasses too for optimal viewing? Ideally, yes, but I do have some here spare if anyone needs them. So I showed you them earlier, but I've got Pit Vipers, a knockoff Pit Vipers just in case those break. Jazzy glasses, probably too jazzy for today. Then official blue blockers, the ultimate blue blocking experience. Not too bad. Nicole's got not
Real
blocking
glasses.
anything. Real ones that she probably actually needs. That's prescribed. All right then. Yeah, you probably. Oh wait, that's a compliment. I'm quite surprised, but I thought you meant as in, yeah.
It's so I can heighten my IQ number,
Yeah, mine's about 40 at the moment. Pretty good. I'm in a new gym rat as well. I'm in gym now, working my ass off. First time doing chest flies using resistance bands, I can feel the pecs well. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, when you find a contraction with a muscle group that you don't usually find, it's quite unique. So think like the bicep curl when it's up here. That's quite a good contraction. Enjoy, have fun, don't let us disturb you. Concentrate hard. Hey, Andre, thanks for joining us. Appreciate you being here tonight. I love how Rick always just says it how he is. I've got to try and get him on a stream at some point. Rick, if you're free at all next week, perhaps we can collaborate. It'd be quite good to do. We've got Samson here from Just My Perspective. Just checking, but is it standard to charge around $450 for a year membership in a gym with showers and 24-hour access? In terms of dollars, I'd ask these two first because they'd know better than me. I'll give my little opinion. So Nicole,
that's not overly priced if you're talking over a year. I know some of the gyms in my area are like $40-50 a month, which is about $500 for the year. So yeah, that seems fairly reasonable to me, unless you're talking to Planet Fitness is $10 a month, but I can't, other than Planet Fitness, the gyms around me are $40-50 a month.
Yeah, around here, the 24-hour fitness, the anytime fitness, they all tend to be right around 40 to 50 a month. Some of the higher end gyms are closer to 100 a month. And then if you're looking at personal training studios like I have, the price is even higher. So I would say it's really reasonable.
Yeah, so the gym I'm at, which is a proper bodybuilding gym in Bournemouth when I'm at my mum's house, I paid £26, which is about $31 US. If someone else pays them the amount, it's about $40, $50. So I don't pay much. I think I got a good deal basically. Around here, I'd say the average for like a proper gym, like not a Planet Fitness, leisure century sort of gym, probably looking at about $45 to $50. If it's a leisure centre gym, it might be a bit less, but oftentimes they'll tag on like, oh, you can use our swimming pool, sauna, steam room, then charge like 70 or 80. So it's pretty much potluck. But by sounds of things, what you're paying, $37.50 per month, not a massive amount. I think I'd take it. Just shop around if you can try and find a better deal. Oftentimes, if you go in there and say, look, it's a bit out of my price range, I'm looking to join your competitor, they might be able to give you like a 10% off. Worth a go. But yeah, good question. Mike says, my Thanksgiving dinner is me bringing my own bone broth to sip while watching others eat turkey and other stuff. I'll bring sliced New York strips from Costco as a snack as well, so I'm well prepped.
Nice.
Not bad. Not bad. Yes. Yes.
She gave you a gagging face, by the way, and I got a wink. You got and I got a, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm a nice
I thought that's a
person.
licking face, like she wants to lick my face.
I don't think she wants to lick your face. I don't think anyone wants to lick your face.
I wouldn't. I haven't showered today. I definitely wouldn't lick my face today. Dreadful. A diva, apparently. So Gina's joined, I believe, from Nicole's channel. Thank you for joining us. If you do have any questions and you've just joined the chat, please leave a question below, put a Q so I can see it and just ask the question. Any questions you want tonight, guys? Fun, fact, fictional, anything you want to know, we'll be happy to oblige. Mine's probably terrible. I know my blood oxygen level runs at about 92 to 93. I can't do much exercise without being out of breath. But my fitness does go up really quickly in that I can perform activities well if I deliberately train for fitness. So that's me. I don't really care about fitness. I don't have a requirement to be fit, although I do appreciate it's important for a lot of people. What about you guys? Have you measured that at all?
I don't measure, no.
No, the last time I measured was in college exercise lab, but the VO2 max is extremely exercise dependent anyways. It's very task specific. And I'm reminded of a study that I read, and I'll try and find it and put it in the comments, where they had a cohort of people that were on an exercise bike, but just one leg. And just for like 6 weeks with the right leg, they pedaled on this bike and they increased their VO2 max by a certain amount. But then they switched to the left leg and there was no transfer of that VO2 max. So it's very dependent on the exact activity that you're doing. So I don't put too much stock into it as a measure of health or fitness.
Yeah, the Air Force used to test that. They used to call it the ergo test, and that was part of our fitness test before we switched to the 1.5 mile run and all that. And yeah, it was the bike, and we had a bike for I think 14 minutes or something like that, 14 or 20 minutes. And I forget how often they would increase the intensity and measure our heart rate and all that stuff, and that's how they would gauge fitness. But some people naturally have a higher heart rate than others, naturally higher resting heart rate and all that. And I just don't think that's a good gauge of fitness. So I don't really put that much stock in it.
I think the way kind of I'd look at it, I'm not an expert in this exact thing really at all, but the way I'd probably look at it is your life, over your lifespan, you've got so many beats of your heart over that period, however many thousand or million it is. I think there's a cutoff where diminishing returns where you start to make it beat more than it has to perform your task throughout the day. That's the point where you sort of say, my heart's just beating more for the sake of it. I think that's the adaptive switch where you think, okay, maybe don't run a treadmill for 3 hours straight. For me, like my heart rate, for anyone that's curious, it runs at about 80 beats per minute. Before a contest, it runs at about 40 to 45. So my heart literally halves in speed. Mainly because I add a lot of fitness to my workouts. I'm very conscious of trying to keep fit by like walking. So all those things do actually increase decrease your resting heart rate. Blood pressure runs very smoothly now, about 120/70. I'll take it for a guy that's morbidly obese. I think it's a pretty good measure. Yeah, if I'm stressed, it would go up quite a bit, but that's why I use all the biohacks. So blue blocking glasses, I've got a red light thing here. This is especially effective for me to reduce my heart rate. In that I can turn it on in a dark room. My heart rate will reduce to like maybe 70 in about a minute, which is quite profound. But I think with my body's less stressed, it's worth trying out at least. Yeah, good question. I believe we've got a super sticker from Samsung, which is a sticker, which I don't know what the sticker is, but I appreciate it nonetheless. Feel free to ask any questions that you do have as well. So thank you. For anyone that's curious and wants to get hold of Nicole and harass her, that's her email. formerfatgirlnutrition@gmail.com. For collaborations or to purchase her services, which we actually spoke about in quite great depth today. I'm definitely an advocate for what she promotes and practices online in terms of her consultancy and coaching business. So definitely check that out if you've got any issues related to emotional eating et al.
Damn, Jonathan, you just said something nice. Thank you. Thank you.
I won't do it again. Yeah. My metamorphosis is meant to be called ketomorphosis. I think ketomorphosis is better. I completely butchered it when I was typing it. So every time I typed it, it wouldn't pick up. So I think if you told someone, oh, I'm my space metamorphosis, they'd probably struggle to find you. I had a lot of discussions with people about channel names and stuff, and I don't think there's a right way to do it. Some people are best off just having their name, like, I don't know, Jerome Armstrong. Pretty quite short, but it's the same name, easy to spell. You can't really get it wrong. My full name would not work. Jonathan Griffiths is just too much to type, so I give up with that one. Yeah, Rick's gonna make time for me. Excellent. Rick's probably a bit hesitant because he knows the last time I had him on, we were on there for like 2 hours straight, and I think he's sweating his backside off in the Florida sun. So I remember him like I think he is really hot, or it's hot there or something. I was on that particular day, I was quite happy just carrying talking. Sophie won't be on tonight, guys, because Maddie is awake. Yeah, sorry, guys. Never mind. I know people that actually do this for bodybuilding. They'll like they'll wear like a coat or something, then sit in their car for like a few hours. They got to drop weight. Not for me.
That smell alone, just ugh.
Yeah, I tried this before a contest. Before I was about 2 or 3 weeks out. For I'd say about 2 weeks straight, I went in the sauna every day. And I worked out how much weight I'd lose, obviously through water in that time. I could never get below 200 grams of actual weight loss. So I'd be in there for 10 minutes, 200 grams, 20 minutes, 200 grams. I got up to about an hour, and it's still only 200 grams. That's how much my body would expel. So it probably says I'm in a good position at that point to say I'm not going to drop any water. So it's pretty handy to measure. No face licking, maybe. No, definitely not. Definitely not. Don't lick a duck until after cooking.
Some good advice.
Some good advice there. There's probably some infectious disease you can catch from ducks, I imagine. Let's be prepared correctly. Catching up at 1.75 speed, as I was already late coming in. That's a bit fast, isn't it? Jeez. Yeah, I dread having to listen back to my own voice in that speed. Sometimes it's so annoying. When you're trying to get to a point in a video where I want to make a clip or something, I'm like, when you hear your own voice, oh, that's annoying. So I feel your pain. Favorite superhero, Nicole?
I'm Batman.
What about you, Drew?
All Might from My Hero Academia.
Yeah, I thought so. I'll probably say the Mighty Thor, because he actually is a muscle man, and he actually looks like a comic book hero should look, rather than some fat guy in a suit or some skinny guy in a suit. Just my opinion. I don't know. Hey, Renee, what's up? Thank you for joining. Metamorphosis. Brenda, thank you for joining, Brenda. She got a question here, Nicole. How did you kick off your coaching gig about 3 to 3.5 years ago?
How did I kick off my coaching gig? You mean my story, what led me to coaching, or just literally like how did I start my business?
Both.
So
maybe what led you there, maybe like what did you do before in like the military?
so I was
sort of-
a federal government contractor here in Northern Virginia, and then the thing happened in 2020. I was furloughed, but because of the CARES Act, I was still getting my full-time salary. So I was about almost 100 pounds overweight. I was 200 pounds at my heaviest, so I was obese, sleep apnea. And I'm 5 feet short, so I was very obese, very heavy. So while everyone else was gaining weight, that's when I started losing weight. So the owner of the CrossFit gym I was going to at the time had a gym at his house, and he would just let 1 or 2 people at a time use his gym. So I dropped about 50 pounds just working out 2 hours a day and just slashing my intake. But I got certified in that time to help me continue to drop weight. And as I dropped the weight, I decided to start my business because I realized there's no one or very few people in the space working with obesity. Most of my clients need to lose 50 to 100 plus pounds who have been obese themselves. So I felt like there was a missing link, because if you haven't been where your clients are, I personally don't think you are the best person to serve them. So that's why I got in this space, because if I knew then what I knew now, I don't think I would have ever ended up in this position. And since I've been in my client's position, being almost 100 pounds overweight, I feel like I'm better off working with them than someone like who's always been fit and thin their entire lives and never experienced or went through emotional eating, binge eating, and stuff like that. And that's everything I went through.
Yeah, it might be a good opportunity for me to ask Jerome as well.
Yeah,
Nicole, I know. Obviously, being an online coach for the most part, it's tricky. But Jerome does a lot of stuff in practice in his studio. So what's that like, Jerome?
What's it like, or how did I get into it?
What's it like, and how did you get into it, and why do you hate it so much?
Well, I love it. It's the most challenging thing I've done, but also the most rewarding, because when I first opened this business, I thought that I was going to be getting a lot of people that just wanted to look better naked or be better on the sports field or something like that. But really, most people that go to one-on-one personal training, it's people that are usually right out of physical therapy and still want to continue doing things very similar to what they were doing and just be more functional. So most of my clients are 55 plus year old women who probably have a good 40 plus pounds to lose and maybe have rheumatoid arthritis, bad shoulders, bad knees, bad backs, and just want to live a higher quality life. So in a lot of ways, what I do with people, it's a lot like solving a puzzle. You have to figure out, based on somebody's limitations, how can I still get them to have a safe and effective workout within the parameters of their limitations? So it's really challenging in that regard, but some of the changes that I've had in people, and when I get stories from people and when I get invited over to dinner to meet somebody's family, things like that are so rewarding, that it just verifies that what I'm doing is the right thing, that I'm doing what I need to be doing with my life. As far as how I got into it, that really came similar to Nicole, with something that happened on the global scale a few years ago. I got sick and I had to quarantine from work. I was working at Costco at the time. And I spent all day, sun up to sundown, just reading and writing. And I remember thinking how satisfying this was, how deeply emotionally fulfilling this was to be devoting all my time every single day towards what I wanted my life to be about. And it kind of hit me like, how the hell can I ever, as a parent, encourage my daughter to go for her dreams and do what she wants to do if I'm not willing to take the same risk? I can never hold my daughter or a client or anybody else to a higher standard than I'm willing to do in my own life. So when I was able to go back to work, I think 3 days after I got back, I turned in my 2 weeks notice. And ever since then, it's like, don't know how to start a business, but I need to figure it out. And that's kind of what set me down this path.
Drinking from the fire hose.
Exactly.
But I am curious. So I work specifically for, like I said, most of my clients are obese, so most of them need to lose over 50 pounds, so 65 to 100 plus pounds. But I deal specifically with emotional eating. So I have a one program, and it's 24 weeks to food freedom. So that's who I work with. Jerome, what's your ideal client? Like if you can work with one person, so that's who I like, that one type of client I work with. What's a one type of client you work with?
My ideal client is somebody who's 35 to 65 who, drives a very nice. I live in a very nice area. I live in one of the richest counties in the country, and there's an abundance of $2 million houses all around here. So my ideal client is somebody who's just busy, that doesn't have a lot of time to work out. And I have a couple clients like that, but most people I work with, like I said, are people that are just finished physical therapy that still want to continue to do something. So there's the clients I want to work with to grow my business and to make more money. And then there's the clients that I love to work with because of the changes that we're able to obtain in their life. So I kind of want an idea or a mix of both. But I like both for different reasons.
Jonathan, what about you? What got you in a business, and who do you typically work with?
Yeah, this dates back to about the age of 10. So I was about 10, maybe 11 years old. I was a bit fat, a bit overweight, what have you. Looking back, it was puppy fat. I wasn't really obese or anything. But I tried, I think it was either a 10 or 14-day water fast. And I knew about the scales back then because at the time I knew people around me were like, worry about the scales. Back then, everyone bought a magazine. There wasn't as much internet access back then. So you'd have a magazine, lose 4 inches on your waist, lose 10 pounds. I quickly caught on to the idea of like, there's something about diet culture. Maybe I have to be a certain way. I didn't fit in well at school because I was pretty mute until the age of about 5 or 6. I didn't socialize very well. I was held back from school a lot. I was put into the wrong groups. I wasn't diagnosed with autism until I was about 21. So I needed another outlet by default. So eventually my brother took me to the gym. So he's about 6.5 years older than me. And at the time we sort of did our workout, he did his workout. I was in the gym doing, half an hour on the treadmill, pull-ups, push-ups, crunches, bicep curls, very generic mirror sort of stuff, basically. And it worked quite well, got pretty good results. Then I started to think, all these people around me are saying, they're overweight, they're still on a yo-yo diet, this, that, and the other. And I was like, what's this about? Something's wrong here. Why can I do this, but they can't? Obviously, looking back, there's hormones, gender, society, culture, tradition, all these things come into it which can impact what foods people eat and how much they exercise. By the age of 14, I knew I wanted to study human nutrition as a degree. So then I went through, did all the courses I was meant to do. So I did, sports science, all the sciences I could do. Now, in that time, I was being bullied from the ages of, I think, about 11 to about 14. So I had to move schools because of it. It wasn't great. I didn't enjoy it at all. A lot of verbal, emotional abuse by nasty, nasty children. You know how people are. And at that point, I was like, okay, so I've moved school. I've done something different. Now, the spotlight was slightly on me because I was more muscular, faster, bigger, stronger than everyone else. Just because I trained before that point. So I had obviously a genetic element, but also had the head start in some senses. Then from there, I was in the middle of my exams in the period that I moved to school. So one of my grades, literally one of my grades that I got in a science course, which was a D rather than a C, and this was an exam, stopped me from doing the course I needed to go straight to uni from sixth form, which is a bit like college maybe. So that's the age of 16 to 18. That's what sixth form is over here. So then had to do another course after that, which is in college, which lasted 1 year. That wouldn't get me into uni, so I had to accumulate more what they call UCAS points. So UCAS points are what allow you to get into university. So I had to do another course. So meanwhile, I've got now double the points that I needed to get into university. So I started my human nutrition degree, got it with ease. It was a very, very, very tough course. A lot of people dropped out. Probably about a third of people dropped out of the course. I finished with a 2-1. I did extra study, so I passed extra courses, medical science, herbal science, supplement science, sports science I did in sixth form. And I kind of started to try and look for jobs in that area. So, okay, how do I become a nutritionist? Well, when I applied for university, you can be a nutritionist in the NHS. Absolutely not. There are no jobs for a nutritionist within the NHS. There are only jobs for dietitians, which is a completely different degree. So I thought, okay, I'm going to have to go somewhere else. So I worked in like health food shops and stuff like that. I managed one of them. I started to realize a lot of these people I was speaking to weren't getting better. The same thing. I'm buying this supplement. I'm taking this food. I'm having this herb. I'm not getting better. I'm not getting better. So I was like, this isn't it. The supplement realm is not a panacea of positive health outcomes. It's a patch something up. It's not going to fix someone. So I knew I had to go deeper. So I thought, well, I'm going to start my nutrition consultancy online. Initially, it was an absolute bomb. Nothing worked. I was struggling online to try and get any traction, posting stuff online, doing all the reading I could. So meanwhile, I had top tier, I'd say, pedigree excellence in nutritional understanding. I don't have a PhD, but I do have very good nutritional understanding. I have, really tried to excel in that area as much as I possibly could. But I just didn't have that marketing thing. So then I thought, well, okay, I need somewhere to put myself out there. How do I do that? Made a YouTube channel. A year later, 5,600 or so subscribers. I'm making as much money as I made when I was working 50 hours a week, managing a health food shop. But now I'm at the point where I want to make a bit more money. I want to save more money so I can do everything that everyone else wants to do, buy a house, stuff like that. So that's kind of where I'm right now at the age of 28. Probably 5 years behind what I'd like to be doing in terms of life stuff, but it's something, I guess. So yeah, not too bad.
And forgive my question, Jonathan, and I feel like I should know, but what's the difference between like nutrition education, being a nutritionist versus a dietitian?
Yeah, so a dietitian will work in more of a health-based setting. So, for example, you go to your GP and they'll say, oh, you've got pre-diabetes. They might refer you, if you're lucky, to a dietitian. They'll sort you out of a healthy public health guideline diet with lots of fruit and veg and high fiber. Not too much red meat because it'll give you cancer, stuff like that sort of thing. Whereas nutritionist tends to work alone or in food labeling, food law legislation, product design. So that's the main difference.
Okay.
I would say a nutritionist probably has more of a holistic approach in that they aren't confined to such a strong degree of accreditation as a dietitian. So a dietitian is a registered name. So I can't call myself a dietitian legally, although my degree is nearly parallel to theirs. Mm-hmm. But anyone can call themselves a nutritionist.
Not in the United States. So there is a different, that might be in the UK, but not the United States. So there's a difference there. So, and some people can get themselves in trouble, not anyone here, but people on IG and all that stuff. Cause it's a wild west on Instagram. But yeah, registered dietitian are clinicians. So they're like in a hospital setting, they're trained clinicians, right? So they mostly work, like Jonathan said, in a hospital setting and all that. And in all 50 states here in the United States, it's protected. So you have to, get your bachelor's degree in nutrition or food science. You have to go through an internship. You have to sit in a board. You have to do all these hoops. Nutritionist is not regulated in all 50 states, but it's regulated in most states. So to become a nutritionist, there's only a few select states that it's not regulated. In Virginia, I cannot call myself a nutritionist. In New Jersey, I cannot. In the vast majority of states, I cannot call myself a nutritionist. So while it's not regulated in all 50 states, it's regulated in most. So you have to look at whatever state you live in. but you have to have a bachelor's degree in, again, food science, nutrition science. You have to become board certified. You have to do an internship. So you have to do sort of not as much as registered dietitian. It cuts it off there because I think registered dietitian has to do an internship and then they have to do rounds or one extra thing. And nutritionists have to be board certified. They have to have a bachelor's degree in that field. And I believe they also have to do an internship. But so there is a slight difference, but I just want to make that caveat because it's not regulated in all 50 states, but it is regulated in most states to where you do have to meet those requirements to legally call yourself a nutritionist.
Gotcha. Thanks for the info, guys.
Yeah. Cheers. It makes sense. Yeah, my biggest thing I see online is a lot of people do these courses, and I've seen the way some of them are run. I won't say he, but someone in, let's say, keto or carnivore space runs a course. And I looked at the contents of it, and I think it works out about $4,000. And I compared it in terms of the content to my course, and it was abysmal. It was like 10% of my course. And I'm thinking, well, people are going to do this and think it's going to make them like, super smart, and they'll be able to say stuff about stuff. The reality is it's not true. It takes a long time. And I think, although I did do my degree, and I know Nicole did her course in, is it performance nutrition? I think. I know Jerome did his PT and degree in walking. But that only takes you so far. I'd say I've learned more now after uni than I did in the 3 years of actually studying. Mm-hmm. So it's actually my own research, well, not my own primary research, but my own investigation that led me to know more stuff about, the diet and even exercise. I think I'd say about probably half of what I know in terms of exercise science is probably from Jerome. So I've got him to thank for that, for a lot of it. So I've got a video coming out soon which kind of addresses that slightly. So look forward to posting that. But yeah, very good stuff. We'll get back to questions now because we've been rambling too much. So Matthew asked, I find the hammer strength decline chest press and pec the most effective exercise for developing my chest. Would adding an incline chest movement be good, or would there be no added benefit when training high intensity training? That's a good question. I'll leave that on the screen. Jerome and I probably mull it over again, but Nicole, what do you think about that? So looking to add in an incline chest movement as well as a decline and a pec movement, like a pec fly, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, probably.
Nicole, you're
that sounds good to me. You can also do like body weight stuff too, like push-ups and stuff like that. But outside of that, I can't think of anything else. But yeah, bodybuilding is more so Jerome and Jonathan. So I'll leave this one to the men on the screen.
Jerome, you go first.
Sure. I think most hammer strength is plate-loaded leverage. So you usually have very low friction, very even resistance throughout the entire range of movement. Really, without overcomplicating things, if you have a flat pressing movement or a fly, an incline movement, and a decline movement, that's about as good as it gets. And it's arguable if you even need that. As far as just having a decline press and maybe a fly, do you need to do something separate for your upper pecs? Probably not. If you're doing any kind of overhead pressing, it's interesting. Proprioception, if you really focus on certain muscles, you can often feel them working, and you do have humeral adduction as you overhead press. So you'll probably feel it in your pecs just a little bit if you focus on that part of your muscle working as you do an overhead press. If you have any doubts about if you need to hit a muscle from certain angles, might as well just throw a couple of movements in. It'll add a little bit of variety to your workouts. But really, I tend to think if you have any kind of basic horizontal pressing movement and some kind of vertical pressing movement, you're going to hit the pecs just fine.
Yeah, I second that. I'm not the biggest fan of chest flies or pec decks, really, unless it's like a pre-exhaust or to be used as a movement to help you feel the muscle before you actually do the loading stuff. Even then, it'd be like one set, my workout right now is what Jerome's prescribed to me, which is a horizontal chest press. Well, the chest press that they've got in the gym, they're a bit decliney in some sense. One very slight incline. My secondary movement is, of course, a side raise for shoulders, but also shoulder press. So I do actually find when I press that weight up, you can actually see the upper chest muscle here actually contracts. So it's not so much about trying to think too much about like getting the movement, like the decline, the incline, the flight. Think more about how does that muscle feel? Because I can guarantee that if you try and put intention into activating your upper chest, as in getting your shoulder across your body or your bicep across your body in a decline press, you'll get a lot more upper chest activation than what you'd think. So I know it kind of sounds a bit long-winded, but think about how a muscle feels rather than trying to get the exact right angle. It's about the intention of the exercise. That's why I think it's important. And the way I probably construct it myself, if I was going for like best bang for my buck, it'd be exactly what I'm doing right now. So a flat chest and a shoulder press. If it's just a chest day you're doing, I know some people like to do that. Maybe a decline chest press with go straight into a push-up position, isometric hold. Just hold it there for as long as you can hold it. That's probably going to be the most efficient way you can do it. That's if you still want an element of variety. But I recommend, Matthew, try out the video that's out now to channel members, which has got me and Jerome in it. We're just talking about the program that he set up for me. So have a look at that. That's a very good high-intensity training plan you can follow. Again, it's not prescriptive in a sense, but it's something you can look at and think, okay, these guys can do this. That's probably sufficient for me as well. I don't know your stats or how big you are, but I'd imagine it's probably all right. So you can always add more movements in or change them around. It's up to you. But, you just need a few key movements. I think that's the main thing.
And if you really want to get granular, look at pictures of how certain muscle fibers are shaped and how and where they attach to the body. So the pec major, it's like a fan shape, and there are like fibers that attach to the sternum and some of the intercostal cartilage, but they're also clavicular fibers. So the main function of the pec, because of its attachment point onto the humerus, is going to be humeral adduction to bring the arm across the midline of the body. But that upper pec, because it attaches to the clavicle, is going to function to some degree to raise your arm overhead. So as long as you're addressing the primary and the secondary function, you're going to do just fine.
Yeah, so what Jerome's talking about here is, so you've got the muscles, they actually angle in a certain way. So if you think you're pushing downwards in a decline press, that's going to get the sternal muscle fibers to down here. A mid press will effectively preferentiate more of the mid. Then an incline will also bring your shoulder upwards. So that's going to bring the muscles up in this direction. But when you look at like EMG data for what it's worth, it's not that doing those movements only work those muscles. It might be you get maybe 10, maybe 20% more activation in one versus the other. But what I found over about 15 years of training now, I've been working my upper chest predominantly more so than any other movement with, incline dumbbells, incline Smith, incline hammer. My upper chest is still not that great. So it kind of tells me it doesn't matter too much. The main thing is just getting the movement and getting that chest short from top to bottom as well as you can. Of course, allowing it to stretch out and do it under tension with good form. Yeah. That was a nice question to expand upon. Yeah. Yeah, he meant pectic. That's good. Unicorn is still there, but now you have a wrench added. You have the power. That's cool. Yeah, no regulation to become a certified quack, though. Yeah. That's true.
Jerome is a certified quack pace counter.
Yeah, I was going to say you'd have to be certified to be a certified quack. So there's some regulation.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was looking at doing a master's and a PhD at some point, but I don't know how much that would impact my quality of life going forward. Because I look at other people that have done it, I kind of feel like they're still grafting, and it's not like I'm afraid of hard work, but I mean, if you're working so hard to get this high level of degree, this high certification, spending all this time and effort doing it, then you, of course, you got the added debt. Is it then worth progressing to that point to then still have to continue to really graft to continue to make more money? It's not like I'm really looking to become a doctor, in which case, yeah, I'll probably earn loads of money. Nutritionists are some of the most underrated people in terms of services, I think, of all. You know, you look at what a nutritionist charges, like myself, Nicole, or if you go to Jerome's studio where he practices, to speak to Jerome is surprisingly affordable for the information and quality that he puts out. You compare that to someone that is reading from the book. You know, when you go to a GP surgery, a doctor surgery, and you'll say, oh, I've got this thing. They open up the book, put all the symptoms together. Oh, it must be this. Here's the drug list. There you go. That will earn me $100,000 per year. That time of theirs was $200. I don't know. You think, you know, I know it's about, you know, having the ability to prescribe the right drug, but in my opinion, I don't think oftentimes they do. My evidence to support that claim is purely anecdotal, in that I've been put on loads of drugs and none of them really worked, at least not to the degree I think they were. When I compare my symptomology to how participants in studies and clinical trials would present for their symptomology, you know, a 20% reduction in pain across 80% of participants. Well, I didn't get that. So that drug did not do its job. So if the drug was ineffective or the diagnosis was wrong. So, you know, you guys probably know my experience in this field, but I won't go on about that anymore. But yeah, we've got a question from Mama Cracker. Imagine you're all familiar with the different diets, and I'm sure you all have your preferences. So just wondering if you push your preferences to help clients navigate their preferences. Good question. So do we have our own bias for how a client would approach their diet? Now, Nicole and I actually spoke about this earlier. So Jerome, if you go first, we'll probably talk about this after.
Sure. Yes, I have my own personal preferences, but at least within my studio with my clients, because this is a personal training studio, when I have new clients, I let them know that the actual physical activity you're doing is going to do very little long-term to contribute towards long-term body composition. Diet is 95+% of that work. And I give general dietary recommendations to people, but at the moment I don't write up diet plans for people because while I think I could do a good job, it's outside of my professional wheelhouse and I need to be careful to stay within my limitations. So in that regard, I would much more recommend somebody like Nicole or Jonathan. When I discuss basic things with clients, usually people that have some weight to lose and want to lose weights have tried things before to varying degrees of success. And something like 95 to 99% of people that have ever lost weight, at least a significant amount, end up gaining it back anyway. So usually where I start with people, if I do give recommendations, is what have you tried in the past that's worked? And start with that. And you can always raise your standards. Eventually, I would like to get them as close to carnivore as possible. But really, if they come to me about that, their long-term health and well-being is goal number one, more so than sticking with a precise, methodology. But again, that's a little bit outside of my professional wheelhouse. So I try to keep it general guidelines and not just like, here's what you need to do.
That's a good shout. Yeah. Yeah, I can respect that. And ultimately, if something has worked, you don't need to try and reinvent the wheel. Like I think, yeah, there is absolutely an optimal human diet, and it's probably the same or at least 80-90% similar for everyone. How we get people to that diet, it might not necessarily be an A to B switch. It might be an A to B to C to D to E switch. I think one of the biggest objections I have with people is that mostly the public health guidelines say the promotion of a high carbohydrate diet, 60% of your proposed calories for the day. That's a big one. The protein recommendation, completely insufficient. The average protein intake in the UK is around about 70 grams per day, which is abysmal. Fat recommendations, they're also quite low, but only because they push the carbohydrate amount so high. kind of like the way I go about things with clients, I work out what they've done first. So, for example, I've got a guy at the moment working with, and he started in kind of like a keto-ish, maybe you might say dirty keto diet. So keto plus keto treats, but a lot of animal food. So I thought that's pretty good. You can't argue with that. All I really did was I looked at his goals. His goal is to compete next year. How do I go about getting him in shape? Well, he needs to lose fat. He'll be able to achieve a better result on stage, assuming he got shredded out of his mind, as opposed to trying to get big, then get shredded. I'd rather him spend the next 9 months getting shredded. He'd fare better in a competition. He'd look better. So with that in mind, I don't put him on a bulking diet with lots of raw milk and dairy. I understand he's come from quite a mixed keto diet, so maybe he's eating 7 or 8 foods now. I restrict it a little bit just because reducing food variation tends to mean you decrease your food volume, the food mass. So I found it helps people to restrict slightly without restricting too much. So now he might be on 5 or 6 foods rather than 7 or 8. Now, if he said to me, well, it's too strict, okay, is your adherence good? Yes or no. If no, well, I need to reassess what's going on there. You have to go to the root cause of the problem. Is it that he's dieting too hard? Is it that I'm pushing him too hard? Is it that he wasn't accurate with his original assessment of what his diet was? Therefore, the deficit of food is too much. So these are all things to look at. So when you're coaching someone online, you have to be very holistic in the approach. It's not this is your diet then, this is your diet now. It's an up and down pattern. It doesn't work in complete trend. But my general approach is keep below 50 grams of carbs a day, ideally below 30, I think. I'd say 90% plus animal foods is probably best, just to make sure. Pushing past that point, it's up to the individual person if they've got certain symptomology. I do get clients mostly with one or at least one autoimmune disease, in which case I know, anecdotally and from what I've read in different clinical trials, it's not clinical trials, studies with paleomedicina, they found high-fat carnivore diet emitting pretty much all the plant foods seems to reduce symptoms of many, many disease states. So that's how I go about it. I look at what's around me and look at anecdotes online. I'm fortunate now to have spoken to about 300 or 400 people in a consultation setting, so I know roughly what's going on with people that are in my field in terms of like body recomposition. And outside of that, I refer them on to someone that's better suited to them. So if, for example, it was arthritis, I've got a contact for that. If it was someone who had debilitating joint pain, Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, they needed a diet plan, a training plan, probably a training plan, I'd send them to Jerome. If it's someone with emotional eating issues, I'd send them to Nicole. I'd send them to Pim maybe. I'd put them in the right direction. I think there's people better suited for certain kind of things. That's how we all grow and adapt, Not one of us out there is an expert at everything. There's not one person in the carnivore community right now that absolutely knows everything about every disease state. Otherwise, we'd all be flocking to them and spending $1,000 to speak to them for an hour and sort us out, But yeah, what do you think, Nicole?
Yeah, Jonathan and I spent almost an hour chatting about this earlier. Yeah, I kind of take a unique approach just because of the types of clients I work with. I am educated and certified in emotional eating psychology. So a lot of people I work with, like I said, are obese, morbidly obese, binge eating, sugar addiction, carb addiction. So it's a bit more of a sensitive topic. But when it comes to nutrition, I've reversed clients with pre and type 2 diabetes just dropping their carbs. So like Jonathan mentioned, it's the same here in the United States. The recommendation is upwards of 60% carbs is what they push. When you're talking the standard American diet, yeah, most people are referring to the processed garbage like McDonald's and all that stuff. But in all reality, the standard American diet, like the recommended diet, is still just a very high carb diet. So what I do is I just meet the client where they are and I just gradually decrease their carbs. to as low as they're comfortable. So I've had clients go down to, from upwards of 300 to 100 and still reverse their diabetes. I work on them on carb choices, proteins first, and things like that. So I have a low carb food list that they choose from. Of course, it has all the animal foods, but it has the low carby veggies, some of the nuts and all that stuff, because I don't expect people to eat the way I do. Not everyone can do what Nicole's doing. Not everyone can do what Jonathan or Jerome's doing. You have to meet we have to meet the clients where they are. I'm not zero carb. I do eat carbs, so I can't expect my clients to go zero carb because I'm not zero carb. So that's kind of the approach I take. I just meet them where they are and gradually decrease their carbs until they're dropping weight consistently. They're, getting in control of their eating and to where it's sustainable, because the mistake a lot of coaches make that I've seen, they expect clients, the people they work with, to do exactly what they're doing. And they expect them to go 0, or they expect them to go 50. And then as soon as they stop working with them, they go back to, they increase their carbs again. So I work with them to get them to where they're comfortable, it's sustainable, and they're feeling better and they're seeing results. And a lot of times it's above 50. A lot of times I can get them down to 100, and that's where they stay, and they're still, reversing diabetes and stuff. So I kind of take a different approach, but that's how I found success in working with clients, because that's what I did. And that is, I never want to work with repeat clients. I want them to work with me, and then I never want to work with them ever again. And this is how I found to be able to do that.
Yeah, as weird as it sounds, you don't want repeat clients.
Yeah.
The only clients you want that are repeat clients are people that, for example, they haven't reached their goal yet, in which case they need your services, or people that just want the accountability. I've found the clients that I've had for probably a year or maybe a bit less now, some of them, the ones that I've stuck on board for quite a long time. At this point, it's just teaching them stuff. They check in. It's not so much I need to revamp anything. It's more about teaching them how to listen to their body. I've got a question come up in the chat. Oh, how do you know when we've rested enough? Well, there's a way to find this out. It's very subjective, but I'm going to go and find that question now. But yeah, thank you both for your insights on that. It's quite useful to hear how you guys do it, so I can copy your template idea and use it myself and steal all your clients.
I deal with emotional and mindset stuff, so I'm all in the weeds about finding your why and stuff. I don't know that you would like that.
I'll send them a video of Machiavelli motivation or Raiden motivation YouTube videos of like Phil Heath getting a sick pump. That'll be my that won't be my target. So Ben's asked, also thank you for the super chat, much appreciated. What metrics do you use to decide on rest days? So how would someone go about knowing they need a rest day or not? For me, I kind of know how I feel in the morning, if I feel motivated or not. I'd say in the past, it wasn't a good way to gauge recovery because I was always miserable and depressed. I always felt low. My energy was always pants. So then not a great tool. Now a much better tool because my mind's in a better state. So I kind of know within about 5 minutes of standing up how I'm going to progress throughout the day. The key thing for me is being hydrated. It seems to have the biggest impact on my training. So sometimes I can go if I'm demotivated, but if I'm hydrated, I can still get a good session in. The main metric you're probably using, if your goal is to build muscle, is probably your training performance. So how did you do in your last session? I don't know, 10 reps and whatever. You're giving it 4, 5, 6, 7 or more days rest. How did the next session go? Oh, your reps are the same, but your technique was worse. Okay, we'll try the same training frequency again. But bear in mind that you need to try and keep your form the same. It might have been that you just had an off day. So your recovery is always an up and down sliding scale. It's a gradient. You'll never be 100% rested or 0% rested. There's always something in between. That's kind of my take on it, really, other than the main thing I think is probably hydration in terms of like in the acute phase. Jerome, you're going to have to cover my back on this one. I think we spoke about this before a few times, but I can't think for the life of me. So what do you think?
No, I mean, I really think you nailed it. There are different subjective and objective markers that you can use, and obviously, if you have something that's objective, it's going to be a better measure. So, like Jonathan said, your progress chart. And if you're doing things correctly, if you're writing down everything you do in the gym, if you're eating properly, you're getting enough rest and nutrition, you should have essentially uninterrupted results from the time you start training until you're very, very close to whatever the upper limits of your genetic endowment for size and strength increases are. Um, so you should be making progress basically almost every single exercise, almost every single workout. And if you're not, then you need to start adjusting things like the volume, things like the intensity, maybe take a look at your diet, see if you're getting adequate sleep. That would be the objective markers. And similar to Jonathan, as far as the subjective markers, same kind of thing. If I wake up and I'm still feeling kind of run down, if I'm not really kind of in the mood to train and it's just like, yeah, I just really don't want to today. If I'm really, really sore from a previous workout, I'll tend to give it maybe one more day. Those are all kind of subjective markers that you can usually kind of gauge whether or not you're ready to train. But in general, once you do it long enough, you kind of get a feel for how often you should train. Jonathan can recover a little bit more quickly than I can. He can work out 3 to 4 days a week. I generally anywhere from 1 to 3 times a week, depending on volume and intensity. After a while, you'll kind of figure out what volume and frequency works best for you that allows you to make the best progress on a workout by workout basis.
Yeah, for sure. It's very individual. Like we know a guy, Declan, he trains like once every week or so. He's changed his training round now. They've reset, I think, to something more frequency.
Yep.
But using reps in reserve. So he's training, but not to failure, basically. So it depends how hard you're training as well. So people are saying like, oh, I train 5-6 times a week. I was met recently with a client and they're like, oh, I do 5 to 6 sessions a week and I do 40 sets and they're all to failure. And I say, no, they're not. So I watched their training footage and lo and behold, it wasn't within 6 or 7 reps to failure. I'm like, okay, good. You're exercising. It's great. You're ambitious to train and stuff. But the realization is the training isn't sufficient because you're doing too much, but with not enough intensity. So that the muscles don't know to adapt. They just think, well, that was tiring. I'm actually never going to get better from this. I'm just going to continue to endure from it. I'm going to try and find a video now that's actually might be quite useful. I'll try and post it in the chat somewhere.
I don't know. I would argue that rest days are actually, more beneficial than training days. I think a lot of people who are trying to like bulk up and gain muscle and get in shape, whatever that looks like for the person, I think they overtrain. They feel, because that's what they see on social media, they feel like they have to spend an hour and a half, 2 hours in the gym. They have to work every single muscle group. They have to work out 5-6 days a week with one rest day. And to me, that's setting yourself up for failure and injury. So I personally work out every other day. And if I am feeling good, maybe I'll do an active recovery day where I'll walk or I'll do something that's, low impact, like walking. But yeah, I think if you, and I don't spend more than 30, maybe 40 minutes in the gym either. I don't feel the need to work out for an hour. I hit the muscle groups I want to hit and then I get out. But I personally would just get in a routine and go off feeling. And I know a lot of people who follow Jonathan and Jerome are, bodybuilders and looking to bulk up and all that. So I understand that. And I understand the motivation to, hit the gym, hit the weights hard and do full body workouts on full intensity, like every single day. But there's truly no need, because your muscle building is going to happen in the recovery state, and you need the recovery state. You need to sleep, you need to hydrate, you need to eat appropriately. And all these things are, in my opinion, more beneficial, more important than what you do in the gym. So I think rest days are important, and I personally don't stress rest days. I'll hit my workout and then the next day I'm like, I'm good. I'll either do an active recovery or give my body to rest, and then I'll hit it again. But that's just my approach. But I think in general, people don't spend enough time resting and recovering. And I think that's where the stalls come, the injuries come, and things like that.
Yeah, I mean, train hard but recover harder.
Yeah.
Like I said with Jerome about this before. I was like, to be honest, Jerome, if I train 2 or 3 times a week, I'd be just as muscular as I am right now versus training 4 times a week. I don't think there'd be any difference. It's just the enjoyment factor. Like I anticipate the gym so much. So me right now, I think Nicole, you might have seen it. I'm not sure. I posted a video today, which is like building carnivore muscle, something like that. We go through my plan. It's basically works out like, I'm trying to think now, less than 20 sets a week, something like that. And that's it. That would include 4 sessions, assuming I was doing push, pull, legs, push, so on and so forth. But I really enjoy those workouts because I'm thinking I've got 5, 6, maybe 7 sets here to just nail it. It'll take me about 20, 25 minutes. It's going to be really difficult. I can go to town on it, but then that's it. And once that last set's gone, that's the opportunity window that's out. It's done. There's nothing more to do. So what I'm thinking about after that point is recovering. So today I had a little nap this afternoon after we got some work done. And I enjoyed it. And I thought, well, I'd like to train tomorrow. I look at the workouts I'm doing. I'm not quite as fatigued as I usually would be. But the goal isn't to be fatigued. The goal is to stimulate, not annihilate, in the words of Lee Haney, Mr. Olympia. So think about that when you're training. It's quite a big one. And I think a lot of the time it's taking, 1 step back, but 2 steps forward. You never build muscle during training. That's what Professor Bart Kay said numerous times. You don't build fitness when you're exercising. You build fitness when you're adapting. So I'm really glad we had that discussion. I thought it was very, very important.
Mm-hmm.
Great insights, both of you, I think. Do we have any questions?
I think Renee asked a question about bat arms, wings.
Oh yeah.
Somewhere.
How'd you get rid of bingo wings? I if someone said to me, "Look, I'm trying to do this," I'd probably get them on the most extreme, but a person that was absolutely healthy. I'd say dry fasting, stem cell infusion, I don't know, extra collagen supplementation or bone broth, or at least fatty meat with all the gristle. Some kind of exercise for the triceps, so maybe like a dip movement or a push-up. That's about as much as you could do besides surgery, I think. And how long that would take you to get rid of the big goings, I do not know. So yeah, I've not got those yet. I'm not old enough yet. But
do you remember those commercials? Jerome might remember these stupid commercials where if you want to get rid of your double and triple chin, they go like this. Do you remember those?
No, but I remember a telemarketing like infomercial for a machine that you'd put under your neck and you'd crunch your chin down. It was like the Nexerciser or something like that. I do remember that.
But that's how I was thinking. You could just like see. Oh, mine don't even move. But yeah, just sit there and just tap them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, really, if we're looking to get rid of some of that extra under the arm skin, the first thing is your body fat at a reasonable level, because a lot of women and men that have some loose skin there, it's just they still have weight to lose, and it's not necessarily loose skin. For some people, it's just body fat that hasn't come off yet. And I have a client that's in her 40s. She's a nurse. And if you were to have her stand next to, 100 people here in America, she's probably in better shape than at least 95 out of 100 women here in the country. You look at her, you'd say, well, this girl's actually pretty fit, but she's not happy with a little bit of that extra fat that she still has. And maybe it's just me and Jonathan, and I assume Nicole to some extent too. Probably if you were to look at someone in person, you can tell if it's fat or you can tell if it's loose skin. They hold differently on somebody's physique. And if it's fat, you can still get that to come off. If it's loose skin, I would probably really gradually maybe look at intermittent dry fasting. Maybe I don't even want to recommend prolonged dry fasting, because I feel like there's a liability to that.
If you're healthy, you can experiment and progress to it, maybe.
Yeah. And I put a study on my Facebook business page where they took a cohort of people. I think it was only like 12 people, but they had them do a 5-day hard dry fast, no food, no water contact. And 5 days seemed pretty healthy, but I wouldn't recommend somebody get into dry fasting without doing as much reading on it as possible and making their own informed decisions. But my first thought more than anything else is people that have extra skin or extra fat probably just need to bring their body fat down a little bit further. And if you build up your arm muscles a little bit, that's going to take up some of that space. So just build the best physique you can before you try and do anything crazy. Get your body fat to a healthy level. Make sure you're doing some kind of strength training. And that'll get you most of the way there. And then you can start looking at some of these other protocols.
I can't wait to get to the fasting topic because I think I'm the only one. I think differently than most people when it comes to fasting.
How?
I think Chad asked a question about fasting, which leads into kind of what Jerome was talking about.
Well, and to be fair, I think everyone responds a little differently to fasting too. There are some people, especially I think a lot of more women than men, probably shouldn't mess around with fasting. I think women,
yeah, I think I think there's a difference. So like when and this is probably where my thinking of this differs, but you know, we're all individual. We can think differently. So here's my different thinking here. Is a lot of people refer back to, you know, our hunter gatherers fasted and all that stuff. I was like, they didn't fast because they didn't want to eat. They're in a different situation, right? We have access to food, and yes, that contributed to obesity and all this stuff that we have, but we don't have to fast. It's prolonged fasting, in my opinion, and I'm talking anything more than 24 hours, really is a stress on your system because you are going against your body's your body thinks it's starving. It wants food, it wants energy, it wants fuel, and you're not giving it what it needs and what it wants. And it does stress your body. It does have a physiological response doing a prolonged fast. So when you're comparing us to hunter gatherers, our ancestors, you have to think of the time they wanted to eat, but there were times they couldn't because they didn't have a kill. We don't have that problem. We don't have to fast. Just because they didn't eat for days at a time didn't mean that they were probably weak as hell. They were stressed. They were exhausted. They probably had headaches. I mean, your body's telling you that it wants food. You're likely going to be tired, lethargic, have headaches, have those hunger pains. That's your body telling you, cut the shit and give me food. So it really, in my opinion, it really isn't a good practice to do it more than 24 hours. On a regular basis, because it's just, in my opinion, it's not good long term because your body's going to respond to that and it's not going to be happy and you're not going to feel good.
I think what we're gonna, Jerome. Sorry, Jerome. I think Jerome and I are probably thinking the same thing. I think we agree with you in everything you just said. However, there's that line where you cross it and you think, "Well, get a bit of benefit here. Okay, I've got the benefit. Now come back to the fed state." But I think the optimal position for any human being that wants to live the longest and be the healthiest is to do exactly what you want to do, assuming it isn't eat a load of fruit and honey, and not train too hard, not stress too hard. Don't abuse sleep. I think a lot of times people try to overdo everything. So it's what Jerome's proposing isn't like do a 5-day dry fast. Well, no, he'd rather see you do a dry intermittent fast that you can do day after day after day for weeks and months on end, as opposed to like, I'm not going to eat for 5 days straight.
Yeah.
It's a stress to the body.
Yep.
Your cortisol level will go up. Your heart rate will go up initially to deal with that because it's thinking, what the hell do I do? If you're hungry, you should eat.
And your metabolism will slow down.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, yes. I spoke with Professor Bart Kay about this recently, about fasting. I kind of said, I'm going to paraphrase this, so don't quote me on this, but something along the lines of like, is there a drop-off point where you can fast so much, then the metabolic rate begins to slow down? And in his opinion, it takes quite a long time for that to happen. But in my experience, it's not been that way. And I don't know if it's because I'm a bodybuilder or because I don't know, do fast fat loss phases. I don't know. But I found it's almost like, if, for example, you give yourself 1 day of food deficit over 7 days, that will result in this much body weight loss, which will result in this much thyroid output loss, this much basal metabolic rate loss. I think that would be the same if it was a 1 day of absolute food deficit versus spread out evenly over 7 days. I just think the benefit of autophagy over that 1 day will be greater, more pronounced. So I'd probably rather see someone do that. But it depends as well, of course, on the mindset of the person. Would you rather be on a diet for 7 days of the week with a small deficit, or go ham 1 day a week? I'm a bit like Jerome. I'd rather go nuts for 1 day a week and just eat a bit more sensibly the rest of the week. That's probably just the way I'd like to do mine psychology. But Jerome, what do you think? Because I think there's a line here, but I think we're probably saying they're both the same thing, but we think there's a.
I think we're all pretty much in agreement. The way that I look at least prolonged fasting, anything over 24 hours, to me, that's a healing protocol. You have some kind of health condition that you want to see if fasting will help that improve. I don't think people should do prolonged fasting to lose weight. If you want to do like intermittent fasting or 24-hour fast, 1 meal a day because you just feel like your concentration is better during the day, awesome. But prolonged fasts, dry fasting, and I've done 2-3 day dry fasts. I'd like to try and knock out a 5-1 at some point. To me, those are about discipline, and those are about if you have some kind of chronic health condition that you're trying to get better. So like one of the reasons I don't put more pictures and videos of me online is like my back, even in my 30s, is still broken out, even when I'm eating clean. But when I fast, it clears up. And then I go back to eating even just strict carnivore, my back breaks out again. And I tend to think maybe it's just testosterone from pumping iron and eating red meat and eggs, maybe. So like I said, with respect to the question about bat wings, before anybody, in my opinion, should mess around with fasting, get down to a lean, healthy weight first, make sure you're doing strength training. And if you want to try fasting after that point, go for it. But with fasting, you have to know what subjective and objective markers are going to cause you to stop fasting, whether you choose wet fasting or dry fasting. And any kind of prolonged fasting, you really need to ease into. And you really need to, if you're going to do a prolonged fast, be extremely careful with how you break that fast. And I'm speaking from experience with these.
Well, stomach cramps and diarrhea and feeling sick and nauseous.
Yeah.
And sometimes people can break it with the wrong food, then they start binging. For me, I get to about 24 hours and I start thinking about food. I don't think it's because my body needs that food. I think it's just culturally, traditionally, I'm eating 4 meals a day. Well, okay, I'm not going to eat any meals today. That's weird. My body knows it's weird. My mind's telling my body that it's weird. My heart rate goes up. I feel anxious. I don't feel right. So for me, it would often result in probably a binge. So for me, maybe I wouldn't do it. Now, the only instance where I would be able to do it successfully is if I had a goal in sight. I have to drop 5 pounds over the next week. Okay, I'm going to do it anyway. I'm not going to binge. But if I'm not competing, I don't have an absolute goal. There's no point. So what you do in terms of your methodology to reach a certain physique goal, health goal, there has to be the objectives. How do you get there? What do you need to do? Is the implementation of a certain methodology a must? What is the least abrasive thing you could do first? That's kind of how I always approach it. So you don't often. I don't think I ever actually I think I've only had like one client over the last year that's done any kind of fasting ever. And when I talk about fast, I mean like a 24-hour or more fast. So that tells you kind of how important it is. It's not the be all and end all. It's a tool nonetheless. Should we do some more questions? Do you think we covered that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Not a question, but Matthew just said about him being a member of, I think he means Pure Gym. I use that one as well. There is some hammer strength equipment there. And he is right. There are people that sit on their phones and machines and does like 6, 7, 8 sets. I'm like, so I had a guy recently, I wanted to use the shoulder press to do the overhead press, and this one guy, I swear he did at least 6 sets, and I was waiting there for 6 sets, but I was like, well, my exercise order is this. I'm going to have to wait here. And it took me until the 6th set to just say, oh, do you mind if I just use this? And he goes, oh, I've got 2 more sets left. I said, no, I'm using this now between your next set. And he moved out of the way, and that was it. So I think I kind of had to tell him I was using it. Some people are so obnoxious. I don't see any rationale in doing that many sets in a gym that is packed like those gyms, because those gyms are like the cheaper gym, maybe a bit like Planet Fitness sort of equivalent. Everyone goes to it and they're not very considerate of members. But when you're doing Jerome's training style, 1 set per exercise, sometimes it's a real pain in the ass. So you're waiting so long for this equipment. But I sometimes I can find a way around it. I'll just ask to work in. But when you ask to work in and your set lasts 2 minutes long plus, you're like, I feel a bit awkward now. This guy's just staring at me for like 2 minutes from the side.
Yeah.
You know?
But
Well,
if you're bigger,
oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was gonna say if you're bigger than he is, it doesn't matter anyways, right?
Just puff his chest
Yeah.
out. I just want to thank Renee for gifting 5 membership. That's insanity. Thank you, Renee, my girl. She just gifted memberships because she wants to revolt for me to get rid of my unicorn icon. Thinking of changing it to a stick of butter. I don't know. Carrie's going to draw something up, but yeah, apparently Renee is anti-unicorn, even though it's my spirit animal, and it makes me sad.
I've just got whatever generic stuff they put out there. I don't want to change it because it's been that for so long now, really. Also, I don't know how I'd do mine. Would I get like... I think I'd get a lot of backlash, because if I put Arnold near the bottom tier, then put like Cedric McMillan near the top, like another bodybuilder, I think people would get upset, so I don't know. I don't know how to navigate that one.
I do have people like Renee who get upset over your icon.
Probably, yeah. Now, my channel members that I do have, I've probably got about 30 now. They're all really nice, pleasant people to deal with, honestly. I'm quite fortunate. But yeah. All very
Renee
serious like me as well.
Keep the unicorn in my spirit. That's so mean.
Nicole, why are you the only one without sunglasses on?
I didn't get the memo.
That's all right. Now,
To be fair,
sometimes...
Jonathan didn't have them on initially when he first got on stream when he and I were chatting. Then he put his on, so I reached across my desk and put mine on too.
They're quite helpful. Yeah. Yeah, thanks, John, for joining. Nice to see you. All right. I'm doing a terrible job at this. Nicole, do your interacting.
Do my... Look, dance, monkey, dance.
I'm still scrolling through the chat trying to find questions.
Yeah, my chat's pretty active. We like to chat.
Yeah.
What are all your... Well, Jerome, what's your spirit? If you can have a spirit animal, what's your spirit animal?
Bison.
Bison?
Yeah.
Okay. Why?
Because they're big and they have a lot of meat on them.
So you want a lot of meat on your body?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still 15 minutes behind even this message. Cheers, Ben. I appreciate you coming on.
All right, Jonathan, what's your spirit animal? Oh, I can't talk to Jonathan because he's scrolling.
Yeah, I'm a man. I can't multitask.
He's
especially on my age.
Chat.
Yeah, I'm not great at this. This is awful.
Thank you, Carrie, for designing a new, less fluffy and horned horsey.
Yeah, fasting is not for me as my anxiety to respond. Yeah, I noticed this with like the lion diet. I felt horrible. Like I felt nearly as bad as I did before starting carnivore diets. I was like, forget this. If something gives me that strong of a feedback response, maybe don't do it.
Yeah.
I'll revisit it again in the future. I'm not saying it's absolutely hell. But you have to have your fine limits. Does something cause you to feel like coming off the diet and binging? Maybe don't do that. Maybe it's better to be 90% or 95% lion diet or what have you rather than 100%. What can you achieve at the end of the day? Like I said, people are fasting too much in the carnivore space to speed up the weight loss.
Yes.
It's still about comparing the rate of weight loss to others. Dial in your diet and no fasting will be needed. Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't fast at all for my last contest, and I was diced to the socks out of my mind. My butt crack looked like a walnut.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Did I zoned out? Did you said butt crack?
Yes.
Look like a what?
Walnut.
Oh, thank you.
Yep.
Are you trying to get more of your chest on camera? Is that why you keep like adjusting your G-string?
No, so this one's quite nipply. You can't tell. But unfortunately, I don't want to buy a 4XL vest because that's ridiculous. I'm not a 4XL person, so I'm also dealing with the chair. It's quite, I don't know, it's a bit wobbly at the back today. So
gotcha.
Yes. If I sit back a bit, there we go. Yeah, my tailbone's still messed up, so that's why I'm a bit fidgety. It's a bit annoying. So apologies for that in the chat if you're watching me shuffle everywhere. It's part of it today. Okay, I'm really struggling now. Are there actually any questions? There was one.
No.
I don't think there are.
Rick spotted my desperation. Is metabolism why I feel hot the nights when I eat 3 or more pounds of meat for dinner? Yeah, that's a lot of food, to be fair. Yes. What do you guys think?
Yeah, your body heats up when you digest food. That's where the meat sweat and all that stuff comes from. Yeah. So yeah, if your body's overheating, then it's all that meat, because it has the highest thermic effect. So your body's trying to process, digest, and break all that food down that you're giving it. And meats, proteins, and fats are the hardest for your body to break down, digest, absorb. It takes the longest. So yeah, it's probably just too much at one time.
Yes, I noticed this myself, but you could. I think when you put protein, carbs, and fats in one go, that's what's going to heat you up the most. Just because you're bogging your system down even longer. But you're completely right. Yeah, if you have protein an enormous amount, you're going to be sweating your backside off. 25% thermic effect. If you worked it out a bomb calorimeter, that's a lot. So yeah, I used to be a lot hotter a few years ago. I think I had damaged mitochondria. I think I can do damage quite easily to mine, because if I go off the diet for a little bit, a day or two, I tend to feel really run down. It takes me a while to pick back up again. My immune system goes down as well. So for me, it's the default diet I kind of have to stick to. Quite frustrating. I can't add in blueberries like you, Nicole. I'm intolerant to them. So
you can't eat 300 grams of carbs either?
No, unfortunately not.
Dang.
I'm not active enough.
Yeah, that's a shame. What about you, Jerome?
No,
Are you at about 300 grams or 200?
I can, but I feel the consequences the next day. So it's just better if I don't.
Yeah. Chad did 4 years. He's nearly 4 years carnivore, and he tried fasting, but I only did it like 2 times. I think I just can't do it, as I can tell my body is not liking it. Granted, I do OMAD.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, imagine. Sorry. Okay. Imagine your historical ancestors were really good hunters and they ate every day. Your body is probably used to, or your genetic makeup is used to having food every day. It's probably a good thing. Flip it on that side. I've got a video coming out about fasting soon. I think fasting and muscle gain. That'll be excellent. It'll come out in about to channel members about 1 to 2 weeks. Keep your eyes peeled for that one. It's going to be a short 5-minute video, but it's about 15 minutes. So, well. Is that all the questions? We're not doing very well tonight.
Correction, you're not doing very well tonight.
Dreadful. You're tagged in the stream as well, Nicole. You're joint to blame.
You got one more that popped up towards the bottom that I just brought up.
Oh, cheers. Excellent. Okay. Johnny Wong said, "Hi, Jonathan. You got the wrong Jonathan. I know that working out at night is not good, but what about working out in the morning?" It depends who you ask. If you ask Jack Cruz, he'll say working out at night is best. He'll say some light bodyweight exercises before bed is optimal for sleep. Mm-hmm. If you ask me, I think train whenever you feel the best. You're most motivated. Your core temperature is the highest, which for a lot of people seems to be about midday or after a meal. But ultimately, I would go by whatever makes you feel the best and allows you to train the hardest. So if you wake up in the morning and you're a sprightly morning person, we'll do it then. Mm-hmm. If you feel like you need a lot of food in you before you train in the evening. I train after 1 meal. Jerome trains after 0 meals. Nicole trains whenever she wants, really.
Yeah.
So you've got all different angles on it. I honestly don't think there is a correct or optimal way to do it. Ultimately, your adherence to the training is most
interesting
important.
though. Like if you struggle with sleep, working out, I mean, it does exhaust you and does tire you. So if you are struggling with sleep, it might, and you do work out, it might help you fall asleep easier. I've heard people, like friends of mine, who actually do that. They work out like 7 or so p.m. and then they pass right out when they get home and sleep great.
I used to train at 6:30 at night with like 2 or 3 scoops of Jack 3D in my system. So, but that was good at that time. At that time, that was good.
Yeah.
Now, no. I'm ready to settle about 5 o'clock in the afternoon. So I'm not going anywhere beyond a certain time. Yeah, I think Jerome and I covered this in a video. Was it 2 weeks ago, Jerome? We made a live.
Oh, maybe. I don't know. It feels like it's been.
Yeah.
I know we've talked about this, but I think it's been a hot minute.
I've edited that video today, actually. So I think it's like a 4-minute long video.
Sure.
It'll be available to channel members in about a week. And we talk about fasting and what to do and when to train around eating, when stuff like that. Ultimately, there's not an absolute correct answer. Train when you feel best. See what allows you to perform your best. That's it. There's
Jonathan, Nicole,
I've
got to go. I just want to thank you guys for your time today.
Oh,
excellent.
See you later,
Thanks
man.
for stopping by.
Thanks, guys. Yep.
Appreciate being here.
Then there were 2.
There were 2. Never mind, eh? Finally, he's gone.
Now we can really help people.
Yeah. I can answer questions a bit better. I'm damned for the chat though. I can't see anything.
Yeah. I mean, there's really no other questions in there. Just chatter. Lots
Is there
of
anything you want to bring up?
Girl talk. Daddy Butter's in the house.
Is there anything you want to talk about today for a few more minutes before we wrap up?
When are we doing that collab on yours and oh my gosh, what's his Harry's chat? So Jonathan and I plan to try to do a video on carbs, leptin, and all that stuff when it comes to women's health, to try to put the pieces of the puzzle together and just have a friendly informative chat. So I think we have that scheduled for the end of this month, actually.
That sounds about right. We've penciled something in at a certain time, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I'll probably bring some resources with me, some little notes maybe, just because it is such a like whatever topic, you know, it's not something we really get that well. So
complex.
It'd be good to, yeah, it is a bit much. I'll say that much. In the context of a carnivore diet, we don't know how much the introduction of carbohydrates impacts leptin signaling. We can only speculate. So what we really need, Nicole, is people like you, perhaps other females, similar age bracket, similar sort of experience, to say what they're doing right now and how that's worked for them.
Yeah.
I think that the most important thing is we remain unbiased, because it is quite easy to influence people to sort of say, oh, this is good or this is bad, but just say, try it and tell me what you think. I don't know what the outcome would be, you know?
Yeah, I think it's just an interesting topic, just because I believe the hunters, gatherers, you know, the women of the tribe ate more carbs than the men, naturally. And I think that there's a mechanism that benefits females in doing that. But kind of like Reality Chick says, low oxalate carbs will be great. Absolutely, like types of carbs matter. But yeah, Jonathan and I do plan to chat about that a little bit more in depth, because he's uncovered more information than what I've uncovered. So we're going to try to combine forces and just talk about what we have both found, because we've both have been he's been helping me kind of research and uncover this topic. So yeah, so it's gonna be a very interesting chat. So be on the lookout for that. I'm looking forward to that one. Yeah,
I've got a question for you, Nicole.
Uh-oh.
When are you looking to air was it a 2 hour or so long chat with Kim. The one we did about a month ago, nearly.
I'm not, I might release that to channel members. Yeah, I still have it downloaded, but yeah, after all that stuff that happened on your channel, I have not decided if I'm going to release that or not yet. I don't know if I'm ready because I just recovered from that. That was crazy. That was so bad.
Yeah, that's probably the video I'm sort of like thinking about. It's a lot of content here. It might be quite entertaining viewing. It might completely flop. Like I thought I made a really good video recently on, I think it's calorie counting. It absolutely flop, like 500 views. What?
Yeah.
It was like the one of the best, most useful videos I've made. It's snappy, succinct, detailed, informative, 4 or 5 minutes long. I don't know. You can't win them all, I guess.
No, but that video, I stopped going to your comment section. But I might release it to my channel members, just like all channel members, and just leave it there. But yeah, I'm not sure if I'm going to release it. Why? Because I literally just recovered from that. That was 2 weeks of hell, and I don't know. Like people are just mean. Me voicing my opinion. They act like I'm Paul Saladino eating 300 grams of carbs. I'm like, people, I'm like no more than 50 grams. I'm keto. Like, but people are just being very, very mean, and I don't know if I want to go through that again.
Yeah, one of the ladies that left a comment, bless her. She means well. She's actually a nice person, but she made some comments about you in that video somewhere, and I was like, God, you don't mean that. But the thing is, I think she's from Mexico. I don't think it translates well. It comes across well. So I just left the comment there. But yeah, if guys, I do have people on my channel, or same applies if I'm on their channel. Try and be respectful to different people. You know, if English isn't your first language, you know, think twice about what you put out there. It could sound offensive. Appreciate a bit of humor sometimes if someone gives a light jab about something someone said, or maybe something's a bit silly. I don't know. That's fine. But just bear in mind, I'm quite trigger happy with the block button. I do actively block people a couple of times a week. You know, so I think there's a boundary there. Just bear in mind, if someone's on my channel, it means I respect them and I appreciate their insights. So try to be a bit more respectful to them if you can at all.
Yeah, but that's why I haven't posted that video yet. Like Renee's like, I'm holding out on my members. I'm not. I might just upload it to my channel members. I don't know that I'm gonna go public with it just because. Yeah, there were a lot of personal attacks. Like it wasn't even comments on like what I was saying. Like people made it personal and just crossed the line, and it just it was just not good for my mental health at that time. And I just don't want to put myself in that situation, even though I'm just voicing my opinion.
Yeah, it's fine. We all have opinions. Like I think I think a lot of times people talk about the impact of dairy on fat loss, and I'm like, oh, yeah, it probably will impact it for a lot of people. I think the degree of impact is less than what they state.
Yeah.
Is someone tracking their fat intake? No. Maybe look at that first. The thing that can make you fat, eating too much fat, obviously.
Yeah.
First, then look at the dairy. Maybe the dairy isn't making you fat. Of course, it is, what's the word? Lipogenic.
Inflammatory or bloating or all that stuff that might make you feel fat, but it's not necessarily body fat.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's, you know, you'll release an amount of insulin to deal with the lactose in it, and once it converts into sugar, of course, yes, I don't disagree with that. Like, I've kind of been like a mentee of Bart Kay for quite a while, maybe about a year now. So I understand the way he processes things, and he talks a lot about principles. Like, what is the first lever someone should pull? What is the biggest but least damaging thing or lever that someone can pull to have the greatest impact? In a diet, it's if you're eating too many carbs, probably the carbs. If you're carnivore, maybe measure out your intake for a few days, work out what your averages are, look at the fat intake. If that's doesn't seem to be that high, then look at the dairy, then look at the foods themselves. I think people have it mixed up a bit because all of a sudden one guy online said he got fat from having dairy. Well, maybe, yeah, Maybe he is drinking 2 liters a day. I've known a guy that drinks 2 liters of dairy a day. So it could in fact be that, but it's all about like first principles. What is the key thing here? The same thing applies to training. What's the minimal effective dose?
Yeah.
Same thing with recommending supplements. Supplements aren't needed, but if you happen to think one's beneficial, maybe try it, take it. Does it reduce symptomology of a problem you're having? Yes or no? No. Okay, stop taking it. That's it. It's all based on logic. It's not. I try not to overcomplicate things. Same thing with coaching clients. Clients are like, oh, what supplements do I need to take? Well, probably none. If the diet is sufficient, which I make every diet sufficient, so I actually check the numbers of everything I put into someone's plan.
Yeah, use Chronometer, right?
Yes, I check all the numbers. I appreciate it's not 100% accurate in a sense. I appreciate that everyone's individual needs are different, but I look at those numbers and think, this might be a bit off. This person has this ailment. Perhaps this could be improved by increasing this or that. I am really detailed with it. I don't mess around. So, that's kind of the way you have to be as a coach, like a professional who's, an expert in a certain area. You have to apply yourself that way. Someone's coming to you for the information. You got to be sure that you can hold up your end of the bargain. Someone's buying your stuff. So yeah, I don't know. Are there any more questions, or is that it?
No, I think that was it. I guess we can end it with what do you have coming up on your channel that we have to look forward to? I know you've been releasing a ton of content.
Yeah, so let me have a check. I filmed 2 yesterday and made 3 today. You have to bear with me. So one is build muscle without moving. Big one. And muscle loss and fasting. Another one is, God, this is a nightmare to find all these. Do we need cardio to get shredded? Another one is fasted versus fed training. Another one, dairy for fat loss. Funny enough.
Oh.
Another one, plants cause all disease.
That was part of the video we did. Did you clip that part of the video out?
No, I asked Professor Bart K.
Okay.
Bart's conscious of not misrepresenting or misquoting people. So I sort of said to him, this guy said this about disease.
Yeah.
What do you think? And he said, well, if he did in fact say that, I'd be saying, that's not obviously true because, yeah, like a lot of people see these like taglines that people have and think, well, that's gospel. But I've seen a lot of instances where people in our space are wrong.
Yeah. I think that's just funny. My channel. Okay. Shout out to my channel members, my amazing channel members. I'll give you guys insight into what Jonathan are talking about. I'll release that video either this week or over the weekend, and you guys can check it out.
If you got a couple of hours spare and you want a good laugh, you'll really enjoy that.
It was like 2 hours, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. Another one is, let's find out who is on the juice. So that's a good. A lot of these videos are quite. I don't know. Sometimes they're just what I want to make. Sometimes they're what I think other people want to know about. It's hard to know what will hit the algorithm, honestly.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, but it's a good video. It's quite informative. I think I've got one coming out on Wednesday, maybe. I think it's like how to go carnivore and track your nutrition intake, something like that. I recommend most people revisit that video several times because it would eliminate a lot of the questions that I often get through consultations.
Yeah.
I made that video with that in mind. So when I make a video, I have a script, bullet points. I ask questions to myself based on what the questions I usually get in consultations and answer the question within a video. I think, how can I make this as compact as possible? So, watch those videos. Honestly, guys, you think, oh, I know what to do, but you don't. Because when I consult with you guys, you don't know the answer to what I've said. So it always goes back to basics. It's nothing mega detailed. It's all rudimentary stuff. But I think a lot of people lose sight of the principles and methodologies that we kind of all apply usually.
Yeah.
You know, is that a lot? I think that's a lot. We've got Sean. Thank you for joining, Sean. I'm probably going to hire Jonathan as a consultant here next month or the beginning of the year. I need to get back to track first.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd recommend, honestly, for your money, I'd recommend a consultation. I do actively coach people. I just think for your money and time, you'd be better served with a consultation, if I'm honest. I think you're looking at probably half an hour to an hour. Initially, some people do 90-minute consultations. It depends what you want to know. What I recommend to most people to make the most out of your time and your investment is to have a whole list of questions. Tell me how many questions you got. Tell me how much time you booked in. And I'll go through it and I'll give you the best bang for your buck, basically. But yeah, I've been consulting with a lot of people recently and I find it so rewarding because I don't have to speak to them again. I'll get an email 3 weeks later. I'm like, oh, you sorted out my problem. I'm now gaining weight again. I don't have knee pain. My hips don't hurt. I no longer require electrolytes. What's another one? My relationship with food's better, which is something I'm not really a specialist in, but people find that sometimes. So, you know, I try, like in a car, I try to sort people out first time. That's definitely that. All right. We're going to wrap this up now. Thank you very much for joining. And also thank you to Nicole for joining me on this delightful Monday evening, 7:15 p.m. UK time. Thank you also to Jerome, who popped by for a minute or two earlier. Appreciate him being here in some capacity. And if you want to find Nicole and you're on my channel right now, subscribe to her at Former Fat Girl. She is the owner of Dark Horse Nutrition. Also check out her website. Her services, her plans. She posts lots of short form and long form content. Lots of lives as well. Lots of critiques, reactions. I know sometimes they are repetitive to see, but I've gained a lot of insight into diet and the dietary interplay between what people do out there right now and what she's promoting. And I've gained quite a bit from those, so I actually recommend watching those as well. They're quite entertaining as well. She puts on a good show, so I appreciate you coming on. Yeah,
and if you're on my channel, be sure to sub to Jonathan's channel. If Sean or some of my mods can drop his link in the chat, that would be super helpful.
It'd be quite good. You don't have to though; you're not obliged to. Subscribe to Nicole's channel,
to sub to me, but you're not obliged to sub to John.
Yeah. I don't. I'm not too fussed at this point. My subs go up at least 200 every month, so I'm quite happy with that.
You said drop or rise?
Drop, I think.
You increase.
No, rise, increase.
Okay, I was about to say, dang.
Yeah, it's working. Something's working, but albeit very slowly. I just need to pick up some tips from the professionals. Oh, thanks, Chad. Chad dropped it in the chat. Oh, cheers, Chad. Appreciate that. Yeah, that's me. So my handle is at Composition Consultant. The name, if you type it, is Carnivore Muscle. I haven't changed it. I don't know why, but I'm gonna leave it as it is because it's like that and stuff. Yeah. Yes. All right. Excellent. Cheers. Thanks very much.